It's very important that the Button Huggie lid stays closed and is closed fully, because if it's not completely closed, you won't be able to attach the extension feeding tube. If you're finding that you're having a hard time closing the Button Huggie lid, there are a couple things to keep in mind. First off, you might have better luck closing the Button Huggie lid if the Button Huggie and the G button are oriented in a certain way on the patient's body. For example, for smaller patients, orienting the Button Huggie so that it's vertical, parallel to the body, may make it easier to open and close the lid. The Button Huggie is designed so that the lid won't come open too easily. And what that means is that it may require a bit more pressure than anticipated to close the Button Huggie lid. The Button Huggie uses a snap fit mechanism to keep the lid closed. You'll notice that there's a semicircle at the front of the Button Huggie base and at the front of the Button Huggie lid. If there's anything in the way of this semicircle, then the snap fit will not work and the lid will not close. This is important to keep in mind when you go to cut a 2" by 2" gauze pad. So you'll see here that I've cut a gauze pad, but I've cut it a little bit too wide. And what that means is that when I go to insert the gauze pad into the Button Huggie, it's covering a portion of that snap fit at the front, and I'm not able to close the lid. Instead, you want to make sure that you cut a gauze pad in a way where it will clear that snap fit at the front of the Button Huggie, like so. And then you should be able to snap the lid closed as intended. If you're cutting a 2" by 2" gauze pad to fit the Button Huggie, as recommended in our instructional video, you should know that not all gauze is created equally. If you're using a thicker gauze, such as the Band-Aid Cushion Care, you may find that this gauze makes it harder to close the Button Huggie lid. Whereas if you're using a thinner gauze, such as the Kingstar non-woven gauze pads, it can be a bit easier to close the Button Huggie lid. Also note that we don't recommend stacking multiple gauze pads underneath the Button Huggie.